Hello YouTube, we got a box of new parts, switches and wiring for the garden tractor. Put a new ignition switch and everything in it. The other one you had to wiggle it. Oh, it's 50 years old. I always put in my description, I do not get paid to show any products. I've never ever had a problem with this company. It took me a week to get this. They sent it through the mail, postal. It probably took a couple extra days because I ordered on a Wednesday and you had the 3-day weekend. And it's Wednesday. I picked up this morning. I think it was at the post office yesterday. I was kind of confused on the tracking, but anyway, let's get the stuff dumped out. I just thought I'd show you. They send you a catalog. Not every time, but if you're first time order, I'm sure they will. Here's my packing slip, which I'll check later to make sure I got everything. Exactly what I was supposed to get. So we'll pause, we'll take everything out of the box here, and we'll start looking and see what we got. Okay, here's the bag of stuff, and they gave me a generous helping of these yummy white cheddar cheese curls. They're pretty chewy, they don't have much flavor, but you know, it's a free snack. I'm just kidding, these are styrofoam, do not eat these. I shouldn't do that. I don't make videos for kids and it's on my videos. Don't you hate these things? You know, do you really hate these things? Would you rather have bubble wrap? Okay, let's get the box out of the way. Okay, how's the bag hooked up here? Just taped or whatever? Let's just dump it all out. I want to show you the real goodie first. Save the bag. I'm going to put the stuff back in the box, put it on the shelf. I'm going to try to work today. Okay, here is a marine type ignition switch. Now I'm only going to give you an approximate on these what this costs. It's probably about $6. I'm only going to give you an approximate, okay? But let's rip into it. Assume that's instructions, your bezel and everything. You know, what goes to it. I know it says on the back to make sure to put this just right, there's drain holes. So pay attention to the directions. Kind of a different key from a lawnmower, huh? Because you ever looked at a lawn tractor, my key for my Alliss will start a old antique John Deere from the 70s. So I copied the key and used it in my little John Deere 60. Okay, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm assuming that might be a ground. So we're going to look at this in more detail because in their drawing it showed something different. Well, here it is right here. If you want any of these part numbers, I'll pause. That usually means switch. See where it says K and SW? You get used to their company if you do it for quite a while. Magneto to circuit ignition solenoid battery. All I'm going to need is battery and ground. Yep, M is ground. You can screw a little bolt in there. So I'm going to need battery and ground. All I'm going to need is ignition to give juice to the coil like in a car with points with a 12-volt coil. And I'm going to need start for solenoid. So this magneto I will not use and the choke I will not use. So when I looked at this in their catalog, it does not show only 3 connections or 3 or 4. So this is a little different than the one that's in the catalog. So that's pretty neat there. It's new. Start. There's off. Take the key out. And it's plastic waterproof. Well, there's drain holes in here. Okay. Now I'm assuming they say what I read is keep the key in a vertical position. So you see a hole here and a hole here. But And we're not going to go in detail about that. We're not spending all day on the switch. But that's why I got it. It's waterproof. Okay? There's on. That's going to give juice to your coil. And I'm assuming it's going to give juice while it's cranking. We will test this with the ohm meter to make sure as we're cranking, we have juice to the coil, to the ignition. Okay? It might be over some people's heads, but we like that it has USA. Is this made in USA? So we're going to spend more time on this than anything. Yes, it's made in USA. Look at how old that is. 97. New old stock. Don't you like that when you can find stuff like... And they've got oodles of stuff. They sell surplus electronic parts. Let me pause and get everything else organized here. So this is not a half-hour long video, but we're only 4 minutes and almost 5 minutes into this thing. Okay. We're going to pause on this. Okay. We want to explain this switch. This is 2 switches in one. It's on and off, but it's 2 separate switches. You can have something over here and something over here. Well, I doubled this up and used this for the power to go to my winch on my tractor so I can handle all the amperage. Because they don't have no single ones left, okay? So I was willing to pay $1 or so more to get the old school switch like this. Now they have one without this fancy little tag, but they look so good on the old mower. And I got one like in an old power supply I built. I spent the extra few dollars for each switch. And I'm only going to use one side. I think you know what I mean. It's just 2 separate switches with 1 lever. But you can double it up. You can double up what goes. So this will double the current. Don't do this because I said so, but I did it on my winch. Because they say my winch, if you don't disconnect it from the battery, it will draw power because it has that remote sensor in it. So you have to turn this on in order to use my winch switch to go up and down on my tractor. I think we made that clear as you know what. And I'm sure I showed the label. Now these are just real small. I'll show you how small they are. These are like for headlights. See how small they are, but how cool they look? Because I might put that up on the dash. The ignition switch on my tractor, I can't tell you, but there is like a little dash panel where your amp gauge is. And we'll pause on this. That means single pull, single throw. If you learn this stuff, it's easy to learn switches. It really is. If you go through and look through their switches, I don't know if they have anything that explains what that means, like dual pull or single pull. But you'll learn it, okay? You'll learn it if you really want to spend the time. Now here's something unusual. This is a little switch that is an oddball, and I can't tell you without looking in the catalog, looking up. It's like it's on in 2 positions or something. It could be on with the key left or on with it right. So we'll come back to this. Wire. I don't need no really big wire. I just need it like for switching the solenoid and giving juice to the ignition. And this is about the same wire that's on there. This is 18 gauge. Remember, the smaller number, the heavier the wire. I didn't need 12, 14. I should have went with 16, but this should be good enough for wiring little lights and stuff. Because I have some light for the ignition. I just needed some more small wire if I wanted to hook up little indicator lights or something. But don't run a lot of current through this. This is just for smaller stuff that I just needed. I have big wire to run to the coil and to the solenoid to start it. But I want, in this case, I want to add any little LED lights or accessories because it's 25 feet. Right there, remember it. So this is just for little LED lights or anything I want to add to the tractor someday or something. Because I've never had none of this around. So don't use that for anything heavy duty, like for cranking over a starter or nothing. We're going to come back to this. We're going to open this and look in the book real quickly. May I get out our volt ohm meter and see how this works so I can explain this switch. So, don't want to have too long a video. And we'll show the tag to this one again. And we'll be back after we look at this and see how this operates. It was something unusual I couldn't pass up for a couple bucks. And I'll look up the price for this one at least to show you this oddball thing. Okay, this is $4. My marine ignition switch is like $6.75. This is on or on. It's either on this way, you take the key out, or it's on this way and take the key out. So you could use it for just on and off, okay? If you're only going to use on one thing, say you wanted to put it on an alarm system or something, you could just use it on one. You know, this way it's off, this way it's on. Don't quote me, but I'm sure that was the ground. So when you go one way, like, it's always the opposite on a toggle switch, you know. You say you go this way, you have juice on this side, just for reference. And you go this way, you're going to have juice to this object. Okay? So you can run the battery in here. But don't quote me, look it up yourself. I use an ohmmeter real quick. Like I said, it's on in two positions. It's either on there on something or on this way. Well, I can rig it up just used on one item. I can turn it off, take the key out. I can alarm something and take the key out. That's what I got this for. Make it like a homemade alarm system or something. You know, it takes the key to shut it off. This way it's armed. You want to shut the alarm off, you put your key in there, like on your shop or somewhere. So you could have it on like a panel or something, like say your alarm panel. You actually have, you either shut the alarm on or off. That was my idea, to make a homemade alarm system. Because I wouldn't use it for lights or nothing like that. You could, I mean, it's kind of senseless to use that instead of a toggle switch. But that's it for that. Let's pause and see if there's anything else before we leave you. Okay, one more close-up look before we leave you. These are screw terminals. I think they had them without screw terminals, but you don't get the nameplate. But I just want to show you the size of these. This is your standard old school toggle switch you'll find in the old days. This new one. So this would be nice for headlights. You know, it don't take up much space. I want to show it to you up close. And I can't tell you where some of this stuff is made. It's all surplus. You don't know where it's made or how old it is. There's no company name on it. But they're old school looking. So I'll leave you with that before we go. Like I said, don't use this small wire. I should have took a piece out and showed you. If I can get it out of there. I'll bring it up here. Don't use this small wire on anything heavy duty. I mean, I could probably get it to start my solenoid using it, but I don't think I want to run this to the, it just depends. If I think the juice, the wire that's going there that feeds the coil for the battery is this size now, I'll reuse it. But like I said, this is more or less if I put any LED lighting or anything anywhere, because it's only 18 gauge. Household's 12 or 14, so I'd recommend 14 or 16 on 12 volts at least. So I don't know if we're going to go into detail on this when we put it on the tractor, but we're going to study the switch, how it works. We want to make sure we're cranking it without juice to the ignition. You don't lose it. It don't go away. Switch has got bad. You're cranking the car and you let out the switch a little bit and it fires because the switch is bad like the old Ford truck. Anyway, you're going to play with this stuff, get you some kind of voltmeter. This one's old. I have a real modern one. This one just lays on the bench. I also have connectors to use alligator clips on here. I have another set of wires, but this is old. This looks like Harbor Freight's, but this has the old school resistors. It's non-surface mount. Thought I'd leave you that little tip. This is an old school one from 20 years ago. It probably was something like a Harbor Freight type product, but it looks very similar, except that Harbor Freight's got the on, but it's similar functions. They're cheapy little meters, but no, that's the old school parts like in an old radio, not surface mount technology. So that's why it's lasted me forever. So thanks for watching this little clip on electronic supplies.